No one. So that's number one. Number two, your feelings matter, including that feeling of a fear, like I'm scared in my divorce. That feeling matters. Remember yesterday we talked about do not suppress your feelings. Your feelings matter. And even the Bible says, in your anger, do not sin. Meaning the feeling of anger is not wrong. It's what you do with that feeling. So if you're here and you're having that fear, you know what? Let's address that fear. Where is it coming from? Let's not suppress it. Because the more you suppress it, it's a part of ideas from that. So that feeling that you have, that fear that you have, maybe over here you're looking at other couples look to be having their wonderful life and you're like, hey, this year to go up, this year to go up. So that feeling, that fear that you have, it's legit. Let's address it. Let's address it. Even the Bible says, perfect love drives out all fear. Meaning fear exists, but it's love that drives it away. And even in counseling, there's something called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, where we address the fears. I fear that I'm not good enough. Where is that fear coming from? Is it true? I fear that my husband is cheating. Where is that thought coming from? Is it true? I fear that my wife doesn't respect me anymore. Where does that fear come from? Where that feeling coming from? Is it true? So let's address that fear. That's number two. Number three, God cares about your emotion, but is not moved by your emotion. God cares. Whatever it is that you have, God cares about it. God cares about it. So present that emotion to God because God cares about that emotion. God cares about that emotion very well. And then number four, one of the biggest things about Christian marriages, we are worshiping our spouses. We've turned our spouses into idols. They are everything to us. Everything. And you see, it's because we've elevated marriage in society to the point that marriage becomes your meaning, your reason. So when that person who is your meaning, your reason, doesn't love you the way you want to be loved, your life is over. Your day is messed up. You can't work. Your ministry has collapsed. Even your worship with God is messed up. Let's be honest. Some of us were cheating on God with our spouses. We are unfaithful to God. And the people that were cheating on, the person you're cheating on is your spouse. Loving your spouse has caused you your own relationship with God. And let me tell you this, the moment you elevate your spouse above God, that marriage will be shaken. True. Because you know what? God cares about your marriage, but He cares about you even more. God did not create you as a soul. The sole reason for creating you wasn't marriage. Marriage happens only here on earth. And it's scriptural. Jesus Christ said, when people die, they will not be like the angels, they will not be given to marriage. So marriage happens only here on earth. And imagine there was a life you lived even before you got married. So God should be the center of your life, not your spouse. Because if it's your spouse in the center of your life, then guess what? When things are difficult with this one person, even the prayers you be praying to God will not be, God, I worship you. You're so amazing to me. God, nimekuja kustaki mtu wangu. Siku hizi anifanyie hivi, siku hizi. Your prayers becomes about your spouse. Your prayers stopped being about Jesus. I worship you regardless. I bless you. I lift up your holy name. I elevate you. Oh Lord, receive all the praises. Because the moment you put God at the center, God will work on your spouse. God will work on your issues. So if indeed you've elevated your spouse whereby God ametolewa on the altar and it is now your spouse at the altar, so that even if your spouse tells you you're good for nothing, when you two are having a debate, you know sometimes some words come out that you don't mean. And then umechukua your word, God has told you, I have loved you with an everlasting love. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. I bless you at the end of the day. But instead of you listening to God, you listen to what your spouse says. Imagine I'll never be anything. Imagine whatever. Okay. Your spouse, useless, all these things. Guess what? Your spouse is not your God. Relax. Don't lose sleep. So put God back where He's meant to be. Amen. Even the Bible says, cast is the person who puts the trust in a man. Don't trust your spouse, trust the work of God in your spouse. Because even you can let your spouse down. Even you can let your children down. Even you can let the people that you love down. It's very possible. You are human. So put your trust in God and put your trust in God working in your spouse. So that's the number 4. Number 5. Remember why you got married. Why did you get married? Always ask yourself, why did you get married? Why did you get married? That's a question that I usually ask my couples. Why did you get married? And the next question after that is your marriage living up to that reason? So if you say companionship, okay, is your marriage living up to companionship? If you say this, is your marriage living up to that? So ask yourself that. Number 6, another question that you need to be asking yourself as often as possible. Is there anything about me that I used to have that you miss? Any trait I used to have that I miss? And imagine your spouse would start telling you, I miss the way you used to spend time with me. I miss the way you used to speak to me. I miss the way you used to be so kind towards me. So whatever it is that your spouse is communicating that I miss is a need that you need to go back to meeting. Go back to meeting that need. Don't be that person who says, you really kwa siku za kwanza, kwani hiyo honeymoon period imeisha. Sasa wewe zoea. Hapana. You're messing up your marriage. You're messing up your marriage. So if your spouse communicates, this is really, I miss you. Because at the end of the day, your spouse still loves you. They just find the marriage a difficult thing to bear. So why don't you make it easier? Why don't you make it easier? Number 7, a very, 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 very important one. Identify your little foxes. Every couple has their little foxes. For some it is in-laws. For others it is finances. For others it is work. For others it is, you know what, the kind of business that you do. So find out what is your little foxes. Maybe over here as a couple, you and your in-laws mko tight. But another couple, then the in-laws, mateso, shida tupu. So identify what are our little foxes. You cannot fight for your marriage if you don't know who your enemy is. So find out what's the enemy, what's the threat to your marriage, what's the threat to your marriage. And then number 8, remember this. One of the things that comes to shake up marriage, parenthood. We don't like talking about it because we're like, we love our children, but guess what? The moment parenthood checks in, if you don't adjust yourselves, you're not becoming great parents, but poor spouses. You'll be amazing parents. Back to the point that your spouse envies how you love your children. Like, wow. Whatever it is that your children want, watapata. Whatever it is that I want as a spouse, please, these children that we're raising, remember, they will move and move out.
Sure.
Watawacha. They leave very fast. In fact, some of them, you don't even reach until they're 18. Watch until they get to 14 years. Teenagers, they can't spend time with you. Dad, you're not cool. Mom, you're not cool. Wanaanza kuacha pole pole. They're spending less time with you. So guard that. Just as Fred was actually saying, guard that emotional intimacy. Guard it with everything. Guard it with everything. Have you ever wondered why, when people are best friends, it's easier to do life with a best friend? A best friend mnakosana jana, leo asubuhi mko, by the way, are we still going for that meeting? Because best friends, that's how you operate. Now imagine if your spouse is your best friend. Imagine if you two did life as best friends, whereby jana tulikosana, today we spoke about it, okay, Paul, I did not mean any harm. I'm sorry about that. And then you continue with that. Number 9. As much as you love your spouse in romantic love, love your spouse with agape love. Let agape love be the foundation of your marriage. And ask yourself, if I was dealing with another person, is this what I call agape love? Because some of us, our love with our spouses is transactional. Ukifanya hivi, nitafanya hivyo. Ukirusha, ninarusha. That's not agape love. That is transactional love. It's pegged on what you're doing. So, tit for tat. Why should I be doing this for you and you're not doing that for me? That's tit for tat. That is transactional. But remember, agape love is not transactional. Agape love is, I'm kind to you, I'm warm towards you, I'm loving you because I'm loving you using God's love. So now imagine having agape love and then on top of that, making it romantic, making it sweet. Imagine the beauty of that. Imagine the beauty of that. Number 10, another thing that you need to actually get to do. Check whose voice you're listening to. Some of us, the advice that we're getting are from bitter people. Wanaka fanya hivyo, weka after kabenteni. Atakulaza vizuri. Ati wewe fanya nini? Wao wanauke wa siku hizi, feminist. Weka Islam. Muonyeshe Simba ni nani kwa hiyo nyumba. Imagine that's the kind of advice you listen to. Some of the worst advice comes from bitter people. They haven't healed. So because they have messed up their situation, they also want you to mess up yours. If you're in a difficult situation, if you're going to look for counsel that means well. Look for counsel that's going to actually be productive and constructive. So be very, very, very careful who you listen to, who you give your time to. Point number 11, as you see, talk about your upbringing. Talk about your upbringing. Talk about your triggers. Talk about your traumas. Talk about your trauma responses, so that you understand your spouse, so that you understand who you're dealing with, so that you can understand your teammates, so that you understand, okay, if they're going through this, this is what is happening. Because sometimes, imagine you're watching a movie and then you start seeing your spouse cry. Anaanza kulia. Why do you know kwa nini? Kumbe that movie is reminding them of a traumatic experience they had. Every single time your spouse watches a movie and then, let's say, it's about a child who was born and then something happens to that child and then your spouse has to walk away. Yet you never realized, you never talked about it. Maybe before you even got married, your spouse lost a child. Still bad. So you never know. Know your spouse, so that by the time you see your spouse's tears, you understand where they're coming from. Like, darling, I get you. Darling, I know how to handle you. Darling, I know this kind of stuff. So that's number 11. That's number 11. Number 12, then ask your spouse, form a constitution. How do you want me to handle you during difficult situations? How do we handle conflict? Because the truth of the matter, many of us have not mastered the art of conflict resolution. So agree, how can we handle conflict? When something is difficult, how do we navigate it? When this and this, how do we work on it? And as I say, the best time to create a constitution is when things are good. When things, just as Kenyan was a wife of action said, pray for your marriage, pray for those good times, and for the bad times when things are good. So the same thing, agree on how will we manage these things. When things get bad, this is what you also do. Number 13, look at marriage holistically. Don't just look at the spiritual area. Because some of us, the only thing we're doing for marriage is praying for marriage. And yeah, it is great to pray for your marriage. But remember, there's God's sovereignty and then there's human responsibility. There's some human responsibilities you need to have. So have a marriage that's holistically growing. What do I mean? Spiritually healthy, emotionally healthy, financially healthy, parenting you're doing well, sexually you're good, meaning you're touching all the bases. So I want to give a suggestion. Just like Pastor Will was actually saying that you need to go back to doing that with his wife, whereby you take stock of your marriage. Imagine if you did this, whether it's monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, or yearly, whatever it is that you want to do. However often you can do it. And then you divide your marriage into departments. Spiritual, emotional, sexual, financial, parental, social. So that you're like, how are we doing in every single area of our marriage? And give yourself a score. 0 to 10, where are we at? So if you say a 7, why a 7? If you say a 5, why that? That way, and then you listen to each other. My contribution is this is how we need to improve. Awesome. This is how I suggest we need to improve. That way, you will have a healthy marriage. Because to you, spiritually, you're good, but financially, you're bad. And maybe it's the financial that's going to lead to issues. Or maybe financially, you're poor, but sexually, you're near. And maybe it's the sexual that's going to lead to a vacuum that is going to lead to unfaithfulness and is going to lead to bad situations. So touch bases in every single area. How can we improve? How can we improve? Number 14, do not be afraid to talk about your fears. Imagine you talk about your spouse and you tell your spouse, hey, I'm scared about where we're heading to. And when your spouse introduces such a topic, you say, why don't we get it? Oh, let's talk. I am scared. Yes, as I said yesterday, the reason why people prefer coming to someone like myself for counseling, it's a safe space. You will not be judged. And guess what? We make so much grounds in a 2.5-hour session than other couples have made in years. Because in that 2.5-hour session, we can talk. What's going on? Why are you scared about this? And as we talk about this, someone just realizes, oh, this thing is manageable. This thing is manageable. It's actually doable. Because let me tell you this, now this one goes to number 16. Every relationship can be salvaged. Every relationship, no matter the situation, every relationship has a solution. Every one of them. The thing is, do the both of them want to make it work? Are you willing to make it work? Every couple there's a solution for every single relationship problem. And just as the Bible verse that was read by Cynthia and also by Dennis, it's the hearts have been hardened. Have you softened your heart to say, okay, let's work on this. So tied to that point number 17, decide. Decide. What do you want to do? And people come for sessions, after you talk about all the issues, the last talk I have with them is decide. You have 3 options. Number 1, maintain the status quo. Number 2, change regarding to X, Y, Z. Some of the things that you're going to work so that now the marriage can get back to its feet. Or number 3, end this thing. And by the time I'm telling you these 3 options, I tell you the consequences. The Consequences number one, maintain the status quo, utaenda tu ndio unaishi. Utakuwa na ulcers, utakuwa na stress, your work will be affected, your life will just be flat. Option number two, you might end up having a fruitful marriage that can not only impact you, impact your children, and be a blessing to yourself and to the generation. Or option number three, you end this thing, and if you end this thing, there are consequences of that. If you have children, there are consequences. If you're an individual, there are consequences. If you attempt to get into a new marriage, maybe that new marriage may not work out. What do you choose? I don't choose that for you. You choose for yourself. So if indeed you say you want to make this marriage work, then be both to fit in. Because not just as Cynthia has actually said it earlier, by the time when they decided like, no, me I'm gonna be now, I'm going to be this. We're going out to be in this thing. We're not going to be like, going out is an option. We are in this to make it work. Because it's easier to make marriage work with somebody who's 100% in. The other person who's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So be 100% in. And if you're 100% in, then this one goes to point number 19. Ask your spouse, what needs do you want me to meet? And then you can tell your spouse what needs you want them to meet. Because the simplest way of defining marriage is meeting each other's needs. But most of the times we want our needs to be met, but we don't want to be intentional in meeting our spouse's needs. So it might, as I saw yesterday, something might be petty to you, but a big deal to your spouse. I have had situations whereby for so many years, all the wife was waiting for was, darling, I thank you. And it happened one time in my TV show. Her husband just told the wife, thank you for all you've done. What we saw, the audience was shocked. This wife broke down and cried. Because she's waited for that thank you for years. Imagine, I see you as something. Just that. Thank you. And she broke down. Now this one now goes to point number 20. And I'm giving real life experiences to another couple, now for another TV show. Now this couple already on divorce, papers, legal, they're there for signing. The husband and wife looked at each other and were like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we throwing away a 20-year-old marriage? Let's make this thing work. And right now, they are so happy in their marriage. Do they have challenges? Yes. But then they know we can make it work. Because sometimes you will really appreciate your marriage when you're almost about to lose it. The moment you're almost about to lose it, that's when you realize, wow, this thing is special. The same way yesterday when I asked you guys, what if tomorrow your spouse dies? And then you're like, what? Once you appreciate how rare something is, that's when you'll be like, I need to appreciate this thing. I need to appreciate this thing. Point number 21. Most marriages enter their best season after they've hit rock bottom. So if you guys are on your rock bottom, I've got news for you. Your best season is coming. Your rock bottom is going to open up a new dimension whereby love is now going to be, it's not going to be cosmetic, it will be real. You look at this person, you go like, this person knows my nakedness and they still choose to be with me. This person tumepitia X, Y, Z and they still choose to be with me. That is it. Number 22. If you have been the offender, please be sensitive to the person that you offended and change and be like, hey, I want to do better. Do not abuse grace. Do not abuse grace. Like the situation that was mentioned earlier. After people being slapped and beaten in marriage, I have worked with people who there's been physical abuse. We've gone to the police station to report cases. And then right now, they're happily married. In fact, right now, they are part of the people who are now standing in front of other couples, encouraging and inspiring them. What changed? The offender took responsibility. It was like, I was wrong. I messed up. That was uncalled for, and I should never have done. The thing is, when the offender is not remorseful, the offender could have given, that is wrong. But when somebody who's fallen is remorseful and is like, I want to do better, I want to change, I want to be a better person, then guess what? Things cannot. Point number 22. In case you're going to change, don't change for your spouse. I beg you, don't change for your spouse. Change for you. If you change for your spouse, the moment your spouse will not appreciate the change, these days I'm coming home early, I'm telling you all these things, I'm loving you up the whole, but what's the point? I've stopped. If you change for somebody else, that's not change out of conviction, it's change out of circumstance. But change out of conviction, no one can stop it. When you change out of conviction, you're like, you know what, my spouse might not see what I'm doing, but I'm doing this for God and for myself. Because right beyond this account, that I as a husband, I'm a great husband. I as a wife, I'm a great wife. And then you change for yourself. Guess what? You're going to be proud of that change. And you will see results. And it's going to be consistent. The situation whereby we're not having true changes in our marriages is because our change is not consistent. And our change is not consistent because it's not coming out of conviction, but coming out of circumstance. Point number 23. Remain Mr. Right or Miss Right. People usually ask, what does Mr. Right Mr. Right or Miss Right mean? It simply just means this: the right environment for your spouse to be the best. Just be the right environment. Be the right environment for your spouse to speak. The right environment for your spouse to say that here I feel at home. The right environment for your spouse to feel like, wow, here I have a friend. Just be the right environment. The kind of person who will be like, okay, if my spouse you want to worship, let's worship. And sometimes your spouse might want some personal time to worship. You're like, you know what? Let me give you personal time to worship. Let me go do X, Y, Z for you. You just go ahead and do that. Be the right environment. Be the right environment. Be the right environment. Very, very important. And then point number 24. Can we create a greater culture of thanksgiving? Because the problem is that we are majoring on minor things and minoring on major things. Can we start to give thanks? There's a saying that I usually like to say: when you wash a baby, you don't throw away the baby with the bathwater, do you? When you wash a baby, so you wash some water. You keep the baby and throw away the dirty. So the same thing with marriage. What are these good things in your marriage you can keep as you throw away the dirty? Meaning, appreciate and celebrate what is good in your marriage. Like, wow, yes, we may not be having X, Y, Z, but what we have is this. Let's be thankful. If something's going to happen, if you want to unlock some good things even in your spouse, start with thanking them. Anyone you thank, you bring out the best in them. Thank you for X amount of years. They've not been easy, but thank you for putting up with me. One of the things that you can even make your spouse smile is if you lower yourself in humility to make your spouse feel good. Imagine telling your spouse, you know what, loving you has made me a better person. Hey, you sort of go, yeah. And just because of that, your spouse now becomes sensitive to what it is that you have to say. Point number 24. React, do not respond, do not react. When things get difficult, do not react. React is based on, you want to react. So you've done this, I want to react. But response is based on, whatever it is that you've done, my next course of action should be, I'm thinking long term. What's in the good for the good of the marriage? Because if you react, you're only thinking of the here and now. But when you're responding, you're like, yes, but it's not it for that. What I've decided, I'm going to respond back to you. So you've insulted me, and I'm not going to insult you back. I'm going to be like, hey, I don't know where that's coming from, but I felt like that was not right. You know what? I love you, and it hurts that you've spoken to me like that. Guess what? That will have more power than answering back. Jinga pia. That doesn't work. But when you respond back with love, guess what? Even your spouse will start to feel, what's wrong with you? Why am I being challenged over here? Now you've completely humbled your spouse through love. And it's not easy. I'm not saying these things are easy, but these things you can train yourself. You can train yourself. Even when you ask God, God help me, God help you. And then lastly, in case as you follow up all these things, now to the final one, point number 25. If ever you feel like, oh my goodness, I do not know what exactly to do, why don't you book a counseling session? Go and have a session, ideally as a couple. We are going through something, ideally as a couple. But even if your spouse is not able to come for a session, I have had sessions whereby the wife tells the husband, we are going somewhere. The husband has got no idea. Then they come to my office, and then the husband is like, hey, where are we here? And then the wife just breaks the news. We are going to have a session. Yeah. The husband is like, what? I'm not saying that's appropriate. I'm just telling you what sometimes happens. And then you see for me, for myself, because I'm all I make the husband feel relaxed that, hey, let's talk about this matter. So in case you're having an issue and you feel like you guys are on deadlock, why don't you have a counseling session? Ideally together, even if not, you can come for a session on your own. You can choose whichever counselor you're comfortable with. But just go and talk to somebody, and you'll find that in many situations, when couples come for counseling, by the time they leave, they're like, what were we arguing about? Why were you thinking of divorce? This thing is, by the time they're leaving, these guys look like they're just, like, because they've had each other. They've listened to each other. You've heard what it is of my issue, and I've listened to what it is that's your issue. And let me give you just 2 more points. Point number 26, look for couples who've gone through what you've gone through to inspire you. Because whatever it is that you're going through, there's nothing new under the sun. What is it? Infidelity. What is it? Emotional neglect. Whatever it is that you're going through, other couples have gone through it. So find a couple that you can get to, at least look up to and start. And then lastly, just like we did yesterday, form new memories. Form new memories. You see, I remember the feedback that I got yesterday is that some people were saying, I can't remember the last time I had this much fun with my spouse. Fun. We were there, we were not talking about investments, school fees, our totals, drilling. We were there just having fun. So can you have fun as couples? Can you start going out on dates, not to talk about issues, to enjoy each other, to have a good laugh, to have a good time. So create new memories, because some of our conversations are stale. We're talking about issues like Kitambo, which we talked about them over and over again. Can we start now having new conversations, new memories? And as we do so, we might end up enjoying our marriages. So thank you very much. Now, there was something also about long distance. I don't know whether this is the time to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes. So there was a conversation. How do you handle long distance marriages? Now, long distance marriages are becoming common more and more these days. And let me say this is the best time